Hey, welcome back to the Table Talk podcast. It has been a couple of weeks. Hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year's. Today is January 6th, 2025. Holy cow. And we're here to talk about what's going on this week at West Towne. And David, glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here. It's a new year. I'm very, very happy that we've gotten to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
That we are here.
We have made it.
It is fun getting into the new year and start thinking of being like, man, God has made me new.
Mm-hmm.
The new, being made new in a new year and this
Fresh starts.
Fresh starts. This isn't just we're doing this as Christian things.
Yeah.
They celebrated this in Israel, and Jesus celebrated the different seasons and stuff like that, including New Year.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It's a fresh start. I mean, I know people joke about New Year's resolutions all the time, but it really is like a chance to kind of just reorient ourselves and say, okay, where's God taking me this year? Like, what does he want from me this year? And some of that's a mystery. We can't know, but there are other things that we can really lean in and ask, okay, what does God want from me right now? And that's what we've been kind of doing at West Towne here, at least as a staff, for the last year or so.
Yeah, we've really been diving in, and probably a lot of people don't even know that we've been talking about vision. We've been talking about trying to figure out what God's plan is for West Towne.
Yeah.
And this is the year that we're going to really start implementing that and bringing it out.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We've spent a lot of time praying, a lot of time talking, a lot of time discerning, like, how's God equipped West Towne? How's God used West Towne in the past? How's God using us now? And then really all that process to try to figure out, okay, where does God want us to go in the future? And so we've kind of been talking about that a little bit as a church and kind of looking at that conversation from two different levels, both like for all of us individually, because I think God has worked in our past, as individuals, and is working now to prepare us for something in the future, but it's also true for us as a church.
Yeah. That's great. One of the things that Alan, he's kind of been the one that's been working. He preaches on Sundays and actually preaching this upcoming Sunday. One of the things he talks about all the time is upper room conversations. So we have conversations that we have with everybody down in the lower room. When you think of in the Bible, there's still stuff happening. We still have events and we have programs, that type of stuff. But we're getting ready to go into a season where we're going to be talking about some upper room, spiritual, what is God calling us to do? Yeah. Now, that does have an impact on the lower room and how we work and the programs we do and the things we offer and how we do things. And so all of that has to do with, comes from what does God want from us?
Exactly. And we feel like, God has big things in store for West Towne, and we feel like God has big things in store for each of us personally. And so, a lot of what we've, at least in these first 2 weeks of this Rethink series, have just been trying to say, hey, really spend some time both reflecting on what God's done in the past, but also really try to lean in and ask, okay, what are you doing now? Like, what do you have for me now? And kind of see where that goes.
Yeah. Yep. You preached yesterday. And
was that yesterday? Ooh.
Yes.
I don't know what day it is.
I know. That's how it's been. I was talking to some teacher at Recca at River's Edge, and she was saying their break was actually shorter. Yeah. And I felt like our break was longer because of the back end of it, because of New Year's being so far away from Christmas. Yeah. I think a lot of times it feels like we're busy in the middle, like have church stuff and things like that. Yeah. But for me, it felt like I had a longer break. I don't know about you, and it's like, man, it feels good to be back. Yeah, I agree. For those of you who don't know, we usually kind of give the staff Christmas Eve to New Year's Day out of the office. So still getting stuff ready for Sundays and things like that, but usually we're not in the office for those. Yeah. Was that 7 days essentially? Yeah. And it did feel long. It was a long break, and I wasn't upset about it, but, because I can My
work.
family wasn't. It was nice to be home.
But at the same time, it was kind of like, all right, I think I'm ready to. Yeah. I kind of used that time for me to do a lot of. I wouldn't call it like structured reflection, but like a lot of kind of intentional looking at some things, and also trying to discern where to take this series specifically because, there's a lot because of all that work we've done and because of all that prep we've put into it. It's like I've wanted to be really careful about this series. So much to the point that I'm ending up writing my sermons late because I don't know exactly, like I'm still really wrestling hard. Okay, where do we take this? How do we say it? That kind of thing. And there's just a good weight, but there's a weight to all of this that I think necessitates a lot of thought.
Yeah. So a little bit about your sermon yesterday.
Yeah.
What do you overall, what was your message from yesterday?
Yeah, we looked at John 10 and looked at Jesus' like comparison of himself to the shepherd. He's the good shepherd, and really boiled it down to, true sheep listen to their true shepherd's voice, and so Jesus' voice needs to be the loudest voice we listen to. His needs to be the voice that we're following after. And the reason that we can trust him and trust his voice is because Jesus says he came so that we may have life to the full. And if Jesus wants that for us, then I think we can trust him, with his voice to follow him. So we unpacked kind of what life to the full meant, that whole idea, and really kind of said, hey, if this is what Jesus wants for us, it's really what all of us want too. He just knows what the best version of that is, so we need to trust his voice and follow him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jesus is the good shepherd is just an awesome analogy.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about the shepherd in protecting the pen and laying in the door and how that relates to Jesus and how that relates for us. What does that mean for us, and what does that mean for us as him as the good shepherd?
Yeah, I think like there's so many things you could say about it. The first thing I think I would say is that, Jesus' voice is gentle and his voice is calm.
We know his voice.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's not like, I think sometimes we have this picture of God that he's more like a cattle driver where they're running behind us and whipping us and, and sending dogs or whatever, saying, hey, go this way. And really Jesus' style of leadership is more, hey, this is where I'm going, and you should come with me, and you can follow my voice as we go there.
Yeah.
And so I think that it just changes the way that we see him and understand him. And if we can do that, then I think we can start to enter into more of an intimate relationship with him than maybe we thought was possible.
Yeah, I think we did it. It may have even been in our last podcast where we talked about the well. Jesus, we talked about a bunch of analogies, but one of them is he's the living water. And that's kind of how he's the shepherd.
Yeah.
He has this well, and the more that I get to know Jesus, the more that I study him and learn about the world and look at other religions, and I start to more go, oh, he's the well that I want to tap into. And he's the true water. He's the living water. He's the healthy water.
Yeah.
He has the water that will make me whole.
Yeah.
They may offer something, and there may even be some water there. There could be in just about anything, but it's not living water. It's not going to bring you to wholeness. It's not going to save you.
Right.
It's not going to bring you life. Because you can have truth and not ultimate truth, but there can be parts of truth in any religion.
Yeah.
Right. You go, oh yeah, well I agree with that thing, but that's not the living water.
Right.
It's not the truth that Jesus brings.
Yeah.
Which is what the more I study, the more I spend on it, the more I go, that's the well I want to draw from. And so I want to stay close to the shepherd. He's not fencing us in and going, you can't go anywhere. Like, you're not allowed to go anywhere. He's saying, I want you to choose to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to force you to stay.
Yeah.
But know what you've got here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what is so cool about that too is like not only is he like full of truth and is the truth, what he wants for us is so much better than often even what we want for ourselves. Like, and he knows what's best. So him as our good shepherd is not just like us following him for the sake of following him, but us following him because we know he truly does want what's best for us.
Yeah. And truly believe he knows what's best for us, not just wants it.
Right. Knows it.
He knows it, which is sometimes I think is the harder one to say, okay, Jesus, I trust you with this, because I think not just our society, but our minds, it goes, hey, you know what's best for you.
Yeah.
you got to find your truth and what's
Yeah.
your truth. It's like that's not what Jesus.
That's not how this works.
No,
Yeah.
no. And that starts breaking down really quickly, and it gets people into trouble, and
Yep.
bad things start happening in societies when it starts becoming whatever I think is true
Right.
is true.
Right, exactly. And so all that's true, and that played into a big part of the sermon yesterday. It was just like, there are a lot of voices that are worth hearing, but the volume on those voices need to be lower than the volume of Jesus's voices. So if there are voices that we're listening to louder than his, well, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I love that passage. I think John 10:10 is really one of Jesus's most defining, self-revelations of his mission statement. And, he came that we may have life to the full. And I think just all that means is really important.
Yeah. Yep. And so that brings you to wholeness, that just this idea of wholeness, and maybe something that's been thrown around a lot in our culture, a lot, like, trying to find wholeness and trying to have the best of what you can, make the best out of life. When Jesus says he's life to the fullest, when he's saying bring wholeness, what do you think that means for us?
I mean, I think the idea of wholeness is rooted in the idea of shalom, which is that Hebrew word that really just means we can't translate directly into an English word, but the idea being just as it should be. So to me, that's wholeness. Wholeness in your relationship with your family just means that things are as they should be in the truest sense of the word. Yeah. So, we're able to deal with conflict. We're able to love each other well. We're able to hold each other up and support each other. There's a connection. There's no barrier. And the thing about wholeness is, and shalom particularly, is in a lot of ways it's ideal. There's the ideal and the lived. Jesus will get us to the ideal. Yeah. Maybe not this side of eternity, but he will get us there. But we should be working and moving towards the ideal. Yeah. And that's where he's moving us toward.
Yeah.
And so shalom is just that idea of as things should be.
Yeah. And I think that even goes back almost to what you were saying before, is like God's not moving where wholeness is. He's not moving. He said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah.
He's not shifting that goalpost going, all right, and take it a little bit further, take it a little bit further. What he's saying is, I'm here.
Yeah.
We typically decide, all right, I'm going to wander off a little bit. And then you start getting into the good shepherd, the one that goes and leaves the 99 and then brings you back. It's like, hey, remember how good this is. Remember this living water. Remember how fresh and how this brings life to you, and how you trusted me to do what's best. Because you were looking at that other area and going, ooh, I'd like to
go hang out with that well for a while. Yeah.
Man, that grass looks green.
It looks real nice. Yeah.
that blue grass
it's fresh. Over there. That blue grass. Hey, it looks fresh.
You get over there, you go, oh no, this is turf.
This is scrapes my knees all the time. I don't like it.
This is not good. This is artificial, and it works. It looks good and stuff, but it's just not. It's not it. It's not it. And you go, okay, now how do I get back?
Yeah.
And here's Jesus going, hey,
come on,
here I am. Come
We're
on.
Good.
I got the well right over here.
Yeah.
So, but I think that is so good, and so, and there are so many areas that we can have wholeness in.
Yeah.
And where whether it's physical wholeness, and we live in a society that I think people are going, man, there's something not unhealthy here with all around. And then you have spiritual wholeness, which I think Jesus fulfills that. The Holy Spirit's like, hey, I've got come with me. Yeah. I'll bring you into this. And then and what mental health wholeness, like where you know who you are and you know what you struggle with, and you're able to say, okay, God can help me. God has answers for this. And I don't know if there's any other ones that we would. Yeah. I think those are some of the families.
Like familial.
and I'm not even going to try to say it. I'll leave that one to the lead pastor. Family wholeness.
Yeah.
He has answers for all those. Like,
Yeah.
you read the Bible, there are answers for these questions. But we have to go back to the well.
Yeah.
We have to go back to him to get those.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would unpack it, like the major areas of wholeness that we want to pursue is like when Jesus says, the goal is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Heart, soul, mind, and strength, to me, seem like those 4 kind of major areas that you can break wholeness down into. So heart being like our relationships with other people, to me. Soul, like being our connection to him. Mind being that mental, mental, emotional kind of wholeness. And then body, I think, gets back to the physical piece, right? Is how do we take care of ourselves? God's created our bodies; they're good. They're temples, the Holy Spirit. How do we care for them? So I would break it down in those 4 areas, and there's a ton of ways you can further break it down within those. But I think those kind of lay nicely over this idea of wholeness.
Beautiful. And the reason we know those things are broken, that there are things that just aren't right within there, is because we know there is truth. And we know that Jesus has it, that there is a well. We know that there is a place that where wholeness is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually know that this isn't how family is supposed to be, or this is not how my mental health is supposed to be, or my walk with God. This is because there is a perfect. It's like the whole truth. There's truth. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. The way that we can know that something is not truth is by comparing it to the truth. So
Yeah, exactly. And once you kind of hold that up, those 2 things up against each other, you go, this looks way better. This looks like a cheap imitation, and I think I want the real thing.
I want grass, not turf.
That's right.
So there
Football
you go.
should be played. Well, it should be though. Football should be played on grass. Turf is a mistake. But yeah, I mean, and his is the voice that leads us to like the real thing, not just the cheap version of it.
Yep, that's awesome. I'm excited to see where all of this goes. And you said Alan is speaking this week. We've got, for those who don't know, we do TC. A big part of our church does TCTC, the Tennessee Christian Teen Convention. Huge convention, 5,000 people come, and it's a great way to encourage students and things. Our youth group is going, and we have a lot of people that are involved with that, and including staff. And Alan is stepping in to preach this Sunday, and I know he always does a great job. So, do you know anything? What is he going to be kind of preaching on? Or am I putting you on the spot?
No, it's all good. He really is kind of looking more towards the future, trying to set some of it up. So like we've kind of broken this series down like past, present, future, and so he'll kind of introduce some concepts that will really pick up in 2 weeks on the 19th, I think is the Sunday. We start a new series called Plant the Flag, and so that will be where we really dive into like, okay, what mission does God have us on? Like, what direction is he taking us? What's he inviting us into? So he's kind of setting up, kind of the big picture for where we're going next week, the week after, as we plant the flag and see where we're going.
Trying to trigger some us Ohio
some
State
Buckeyes?
fans.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you can't handle it, win your games.
That's gonna be an awesome.
I kind of
series.
hope that like other churches, I hope like Seymour Heights comes and like tries to plant a flag in here,
that'd be so
and
cool.
we fight over it. I mean, that'd be cool. No, we love Seymour Heights enough, but I think that'd be
just be
funny.
fun.
We had like a
You
big
know?
capture the flag game across all the churches. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that feels right.
Yeah, it does. Farragut, we're coming for you next. Like,
We're getting your flag.
that'd actually be very fun.
It would be.
We did this as a youth group when I was in high school. We went on a golf course, which is really illegal, probably, and played capture the flag with the flags on the green.
Yeah.
I'm sure like it was awful. I'm really sorry about it.
Don't do that.
But it was really
awesome.
fun. Very fun. Yeah, so we're gonna start doing that with churches in town.
I don't know if this is the space for story time, but we played capture the flag at my youth group growing up, or with my first youth group, and I had 3 kids run out of flag, and I told them stay, because we had the parsonage, stay away from our backyard, stay away from our backyard. All 3 of them were running. They were the same height, had their mouths open yelling, and they hit and broke a clothesline, all in their mouths. It was all of them were fine. None of them needed
Had
teeth.
Joker scars after that.
Yes, 100%. None of them needed teeth put back or anything. It's pretty close
That's
to a miracle,
terrible.
but
Ugh.
no flags planted that
Yeah.
day. That was everybody stop.
Put the flags down.
So it's a dangerous
Yeah.
dangerous sport. Capture the flag.
I love
so,
it.
But we're gonna do it here.
We might have a game here one Sunday morning. Yeah.
that'd be fun.
So yes, Alan will finish us up with a Rethink this week, and then we'll get into plant the flag. And,
Perfect.
yeah, it'll be fun.
It's gonna be awesome.